Hey GlamFam, Linwood here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to cornrow for absolute beginners. So if that is of interest to you, then please stay tuned and keep on watching. We're going to be starting on this head of mannequin hair here, so I'm going to go ahead and break down for you first some of the things that you may need on how to do this tutorial. The first of which, I'm going to be using a rat tail bone comb like this one here. It does not have to be this one, but I do prefer using one that has a sharper tip on the comb. So you can also use the metal tip highlighting combs, but it's just better for parting in my opinion. You're gonna need a couple of butterfly clips like these here. And then you may also find that you need some duckbill clips for added security. So I'm gonna start you out with a basic underhand braid done two different ways because you need to know both ways in order to be able to do a cornrow. Now, if you are not at this level of beginner and you're a bit before, I'll put a timestamp in the video so that way you know exactly where to go to get started on the cornrow portion. Let's dive right in. Okay, so as you can see here, I have my mannequin and I've got this hair sectioned out. I'm gonna take this hair and pinch it off into 3 sections like so. Okay, now I'm going to work with you on 2 different hand positions here because it's really important that you understand both positions to be able to do this well without your hands beginning to cramp and things later. So the first of which is going to be with my fingers down to the scalp like this, and I'm just going to pinch off between my index and middle finger and thumb. And you will basically be utilizing those fingers to kind of grip your section of hair. So from here, I'm going to come in, pinch the middle, and we're going to bring that outside right strand underneath the middle strand, now making that outside strand the middle. Then we go underneath, grip that left strand, and bring it to the middle. Going underneath, grip that left strand, bring it to the middle. Underneath, grip, bring to the middle. Underneath to the right, bring it to the middle, and we just go back and forth like that there. Now this hand position is going to be really important because it keeps your fingers in a more neutral and straight position. So what I mean when I'm saying that is your fingers are not bent tightly like this. If you're doing braiding styles where you are gripping the hair, say like this, you may be able to get that braid looking neat, but at the end of it, every single knuckle you have will hurt because they're bent in such a tight position. So be careful of the positioning of those fingers. Now the second way that I want to show you how to braid is once you get off of the scalp, it tends to be easier if you flip your hands and you begin to braid under like this. Let me zoom you back in. And now we're going to begin to braid under just like this. So basically now my middle finger is going in, gripping that hair under each time. So I just go ahead and grab between index and thumb here, take the middle and slide under, and we just continue that process on down the shaft of the hair. So once you get to where you're comfortable with that, you'll find that this weight here tends to be a little tighter and it allows you to get a bit quicker when you're braiding, so where you're able to finish off those braids pretty quickly. Just so you know, at the end of your braids, you can secure it with a rubber band, something along that lines, unless you're adding in hair extensions. But this video does not have extensions in it because this is, again, for beginners. So now that we have that down, I'm gonna go ahead and part out and show you how to do this braid on the scalp. And then from there, I'll show you, as the third portion of the video, how to part this hair out so you've got enough space to work with on the head. So there's a lot of different intricate details into cornrowing that I think people frequently tend to miss, and I want to make sure we cover all of your bases because this is for beginners. Okay, so I'm just going to begin with a pretty good size section and bring that right on down to the nape of the neck. Right now I'm not worried about getting it extremely perfect because right now I'm worried on focusing on some technique rather than showing you perfect partings. I'll show you partings in just a moment. So this is where I'm using those butterfly clips and clipping that hair out of the way. And if you find that that hair is really prone to flyaways, things like that, the duck bills are to go right along that parting space so that way you can keep those extra flyaways out of the way, okay? You make sure that this hair is detangled, and honestly, one of the easiest ways to work with cornrowing, things like that, is on hair that has been blown out with a blow dryer, just so that way the hair is not knotting and tangling as you attempt to braid. Okay, so now that we have that underhand braiding down, we're going to start off with a small, I prefer to start with triangular sections just because they make the whole braid look neater. So I'm going to start off with a small section like so on that hair. Okay? Then I'm just going to take that hair and we're going to go into braiding position 1, where my hands are flat and downward, and we're going to have them down to the scalp. Now, one of the most important things here is with Dutch braiding, we're focusing on exactly how much hair we're picking up as we go, so it looks more like a stitch braid. With standard cornrowing, we're focusing more on the position of those fingers. So basically, depending on how open your fingers are when you pass under the middle, that's going to determine how much hair you pick up. I would highly encourage you not to think about how much hair you're picking up, because so often I see people where they get here and they run out of hair to pick up because they're thinking about having to pick up hair and they're picking it up all the way from the nape, which is not really necessary. So I'm going to give you techniques on that, as well as how to avoid issues like alopecia, which is baldness or traction alopecia from that hair being pulled excessively tight. So we're going to begin by parting this hair off in a triangular section and splitting that into 3. Just like so. And I'm going to move you in just a little closer here because I want you to easily be able to see what's going on here. So I've got my 3 pieces, right? And I'm going to go under the middle. Now keep in mind, only thing I'm thinking about, look at that little bit of hair that got picked up there just from me passing under a little. That hair that naturally gets picked up is what's going to be added in. So I'm just going to go under the middle and grip that outside strand. Under the middle and grip the outside again. Under the middle and grip. And we're just constantly from right under middle, left under middle. Now the thing I appreciate about cornrowing is you don't really have to focus so much on how much hair you're picking up if you're focusing on the spacing of your fingers apart, because it allows you to just kind of pick up hair as you go, and it keeps that braid down flat to the scalp. Another issue that I see people make all the time is they always want to look underneath the braid as they're picking up. I would encourage you to leave your hands flat down on the top. Look at the top of the braid, not the underneath side of the braid. This is how you're going to determine how your braid is turning out. If you're trying to lift up that section of hair like this, notice you can't see the braid at all, and then your whole braid ends up looser. So stay to where those hands are flat on the scalp and just travel under the middle each time. Under the middle. Every couple steps you'll want to stop and run those fingers through the hair, just like that. So that way we're not knotting up. And then just continue to go under the middle, under the middle. And notice my fingers are staying relatively straight as I work on this. So I'm going to back you up just a little bit, and that way you can kind of more easily see my finger positioning, okay? Okay. So, coming under the middle. Now, this is an underhand style of braiding. So if you find that you are naturally an overhand braider, talk your way through this process. Continually tell yourself under. So right under the middle, left under the middle, right under the middle, left under the middle. I don't want you to even think about like pick up hair, this and that, because if you're keeping your hands down close to the scalp and you've got those fingers just lightly spaced, you're going to naturally pick up hair. Notice at no point, like with my French braiding and my Dutch braiding videos, I told you add hair to the outside, take it under the middle or over the middle. I'm not doing that with this one. It's just under the middle, under the middle, under the middle, and you naturally pick that hair up. You're not thinking about it. When you get here behind the ear, tilt your client's head forward. This is going to stretch the skin in the neck, and it makes it to where when they look down later, it's not pulling really tight at the nape and causing those bumps at the nape here, which can lead to baldness and things like that. I'll also say if you start off with those really small pieces like we discussed and that small triangular section, the braid will look tight without being, it won't be necessary for you to pull as tight on that hair to get the job done. So we're just going to continue to go under the middle like so, under the middle, under the middle, under the middle. And each time, notice, I'm not looking underneath. I'm not picking that section up. I am just picking up what naturally gets gripped into my hands. And that way I can stay down and close to the head all the way down to that nape area, so it stays nice and snug. Then from there, we can braid this baby all the way down, and we can just rubber band the ends as we see fit, or if you wanted to put these into a larger ponytail, however you chose to finish this is totally up to you. Notice I changed hand positions to position number 2 that I showed you earlier. If you get down to the bottom and you notice your strands are uneven like how these are, just take a little from the strand next to it, add it to the shorter strand or the thinner strand, and continue on braiding. Make sure you're only doing this in small incremental amounts, because if you do it in large amounts, your whole braid is going to get wonky and lumpy. So you'll want to focus a bit more on that. Now you may have this down, but I find a lot of people struggle with parting, and this is where it's important for you to understand the head shape. So I'm going to back you up a bit again. Okay, so with head shapes, it's really important that we understand where the head gets wider and where it gets more narrow when we're doing cornrows. So if you'll notice, you've got a pretty wide area along the front of the head here to work with. The head gets rather wide from ear to ear across this area of the head here, which is where the crown is. That is going to be the widest portion of the head. So we're always going to part our partings a little wider in there. But then when you get back to the nape, notice how much thinner the nape section is on there. And it's like that on everybody. So if you've ever seen people where they are doing cornrows and in the middle of their cornrows, like back here, they have braids stopping and on the outsides, their braids are coming all the way down to the nape, that's usually a sign that the braider didn't understand head shapes and how head shapes should go and all that. So I'm going to break down with you on partings and how you should be parting this hair for optimal sizing on these braids as well. So let's go ahead and dive into that now. Okay, so you can see my first braid I did pretty large, and that was just to kind of show you the technique. Now I want to show you how you can part those sections out to ensure that you have ample space left in the nape to finish all of your braids. So when I'm going through here, I don't really do straight back braids. It's not my preference. I always do a slight angle, so I'm just going to slightly angle this down. We're going to come on across here, and right now this is looking like about a 1/4 inch section. This is not much at all. I'd say for those who are on the other side of the pond, this is about 1 centimeter. Okay. Then from there, as we come around the round of the head here, we're going to make that braid just ever so slightly larger. So we're going to part out a bit larger in here. Now I know sometimes people will tend to ask me like, how do I know how wide I'm parting? So when you get in there and you're parting that out, if you're ever in doubt, instead of just trying to look at it like this, just take that section of hair, split it, and that way you can see exactly how wide your section is in that area. So I can see we're getting slightly wider here versus in here. Can y'all see that? Slightly wider in that crown area where the head widens out here. Then as I start to curve down into the nape, I'm gonna cut it really close and tight in here. So now we're just bringing it in. I should be able to see through that section of hair and see my comb. Okay? And notice how thin I got down at the bottom portion of this hair. The reason why I'm getting thinner down there is because down here my braids are going to be thicker, they're going to touch anyway, so all of this, like, I won't be able to see scalp under here when I'm done, but it's also going to provide me with ample space to finish all my braids all the way down to the nape. So that's really important, that's crucial. Okay, this is also part of the reason why it's important not to be pulling overly tight, and also why it's important to ensure that you are taking those small subsections by just lightly spacing the fingers apart, because it'll allow you to gradually grasp and pick up that hair. So I'm using those clips as I stated earlier. Let me make sure that we are detangled here, because this hair has not been blown out today. So it's exhibiting a little bit of tangling, that's okay. By the way, if you're learning something, please give the video a thumbs up or leave a comment. It goes a long way and I really appreciate it. And if you'd like more videos like this, I have tons of different braiding tutorials and hair tutorials on this channel. I am a licensed cosmetology instructor, so definitely check the other videos out if you're interested. Okay, so coming up here, I'm now gonna go ahead and start off with a rather small section. So the more skilled you get, you'll find the easier it is for you to grip small sections. Even if you don't have nails like I do, it will still be easier for you to grip those small sections because you get more dexterity within those hands. So I'm gonna start off small, and we're just gonna gradually go under the middle with each step, just like I was saying, under the middle. Now keep in mind, if any of this feels too fast to you, you can go into your settings, click that little gear in the corner, and you can slow down the speed on the video so you can get it at the speed that you feel like will work best for you. Also keep in mind, you can rewind and rewatch this video as many times as you need. If you have an aha moment during this video, let me know down below what moment helped this click for you. So I'm just going ahead and going right on underneath my sections and just gradually picking this hair up. So notice there's a major difference in the size of my braids here. Usually if you're getting too much larger than this here, I honestly prefer to switch into a Dutch braid if you get too much larger than the first cornrow I showed you. But I prefer smaller cornrows because, for one thing, they last a bit longer and they look neater in my opinion. And for another thing, it just makes your work stand out quite a bit more because it just looks more intricate. Remembering every couple of steps to pull my fingers through that hair. So as I'm doing that, I'm just gripping at least two of the strands. This one here, notice I'm not even holding that, but it doesn't come undone if I'm gripping the other two. Then from there, we just continue right on down this section of hair. So I'm gonna continue this braid here, and then I'm gonna show you how this looks. Even though I didn't do the exact same parting size all the way down this head of hair, I want you to see that it's not going to look wonky due to me having this parting get wider in the middle and more narrow in the nape, okay? So we're just going to continue this braid all the way down this section of hair. Again, once you get behind the ear, tilt the head forward. Now, of course, it doesn't impact the mannequin here because she doesn't have stretchy skin in the nape and she never complains. But with a live client, it's super important. Again, notice I'm not lifting the hair up and looking underneath. I'm pulling it down so I can see on top of my section here. And we're just gonna go ahead and continue this braiding process. Now down in here, it is super important that you remember that part I told you at first about keeping those fingers spaced a certain amount apart. Notice you don't even really see me spacing my fingers out very much as I go through here. I'm just kind of forcing that hair into my fingers, just like so. So closed finger, forcing that hair into those closed fingers. And when I do that, the slightest bit of hair gets added in automatically. I don't have to think about it. And this way I'm able to keep my hands down close to the scalp and continually have hair to pick up instead of having to worry about like this little bitty section of hair. Look at this. This is tiny down here, but I'm gonna braid it all the way down to that portion on the nape. Watch me. So this is kind of where it comes down to understanding your technique. And so I would encourage you that if you start out and they're not looking as neat as what you're seeing on camera here, keep going, keep trying. It will clean up the more comfortable you get with your braids. So I'm now past where I'm picking up hair on the nape, and notice it's staying at that nape area. We have no lifting, which is a plus. If you are lifting, that means that you're flipping your hands a little too early. So just stay in close to the scalp until you're about maybe ½ an inch to an inch off of the scalp. And then from there, you can flip your hands over to braiding position 2 and just begin braiding right on down that section of hair. So let me continue here. And I'm gonna show you up close what this is looking like, okay? So when I bring this back, notice how we get nice and snug to the scalp. It still stays all the way down, and my parting is not looking like what happened? Like, even though we get slightly whiter in this region, it's not looking wonky. It's about taking it slightly. I know a lot of people also ask me about parting, and they're thinking they have to do one large parting from the front to the back, and they're wondering why they can't get that parting straight. So what I want to show you here is how you can clean this up a bit more and work with it in increments. So instead of taking one large section, you're going to go in and take small sections like this here. So we take just a little bit at a time, and then go in and add a little bit more, and it allows you to gradually get that parting space straight instead of trying to take one long piece and wondering why it is crooked. Take it in segmentations, and it will allow you to get your whole braid more straight. So I hope that helps. If you need a more advanced tutorial than this, or if you'd like to know how to add in hair, I have tutorials on that as well. So please feel free to check out the other videos on this channel. And until next time, I hope that you have a wonderful day. Take care, God bless, and stay glam. And if you are interested in downloading my free 6-page hair care guide, you can click the link down in the description box below. I have links for that, links for the mannequin, for the products you'll need, even for the shirt I have on. So just check down there. If you don't find your question answered there, check the comment section down below and leave me a question there, and I'd be more than happy to answer you. Until next time, take care, God bless, and stay glam. You know I love you, boo. Bye.